Okay, welcome back, and now we're going to talk about limits again, but this time we're going to talk about limits at infinity and at asymptotes. Okay, so before, when we started talking about limits, what were we talking about? We were talking about limits as x approaches a specific value a, and so what would we say? The limit of a function, right, as x approaches a. And so we talked about the precise definition of a limit, saying, hey, as we get closer and closer to a, the function should be getting closer and closer to some real number value. Then we talked about infinite limits, right? So as we get approaching a, do we approach we go to positive or negative infinity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, what happens as x gets really big? What if we talk about horizontal asymptotes? Okay, so there are cases where we have horizontal asymptotes. So what happens when x gets really, really big positive or really, really big negative? What happens? Well, the function approaches a specific value. So that's what we call a limit at infinity. So as x gets really big, as x goes to positive infinity or to negative infinity, does the function approach a specific value L? And that's where the definition. Then we're also going to look at, okay, well, what happens when we approach a vertical asymptote? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about now. So in this example here, so I put down the function 2 plus 1 over x, so it's the reciprocal function, but shifted 2 units up, right? So this is what it looks like. And so we've got this horizontal asymptote, but look, as x goes to positive infinity, what's happening here? The function is tending towards the line y equals 2. And so, and again, this is a differentiable function, right? It's a continuous function. So we can talk about the limit. Okay, so the limit as x approaches 2, or excuse me, as x approaches positive infinity, the value of the function is approaching 2. And then if we look at the negative infinity, as x gets really big negative, then what's happening here? The value of the function is also approaching 2. Okay? So that's what we call limits at infinity. Now, in this case as well, we're also talking about asymptotes, right? And asymptotes. So there's the horizontal asymptote, right? So there's a connection between there being a horizontal asymptotes and limits at infinity. Now, we talked about vertical asymptotes before, right? As in this case here, we talked about as x approaches 0 in this case, what's happening? From the right, it's going to positive infinity. And from the left, it's going to negative infinity. We talked about that in a previous video. Now we're going to turn our attention to horizontal asymptotes and the idea of limits at infinity. Okay, so see you next time.